back, and let's welcome David Morgan of the Morgan Report. David, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Alan. Thank you.
How's your weather out there?
Very clear and white. It's a good day today.
Well, it is overcast, and it looks like we might get some more rain today down here, but no snow.
Yeah, we've got that.
David, Japan has unleashed another round in the currency wars. The dollar had a rare up day earlier this week, but she's resumed her free fall. Europe, it looks like we've got a race to the bottom now with these currencies. Would you agree with me there?
Absolutely, and I'll give credit where it's due. Jim Dines is the one that talked about the race to the bottom years ago, and here we are. And I called the fact that we would have a currency crisis. I don't like using the word hyperinflation because I really don't think we're going to see a true hyperinflation. It doesn't matter. The point is that we are in a situation where the failure is right in front of us globally. All the exporting nations are trying to lower the value of the currencies. Can you believe that? They're trying to lower the value of the currencies so that they can export and maintain some kind of income into their nation state. It's not working, and it's failing, and it's right before our eyes. Yet, there's only about 1% of the population that seems to really be astute enough to catch on to the failure, which is, in my thinking, unbelievable. I would think that, at least half the people out there would see what's happening, but unfortunately, history teaches different, and we're watching it in real time.
So how do we protect ourselves?
Well, it's more than protection, and of course, protecting yourself is to have something real, and real money is the only thing that's ever worked in these type of situations. I shouldn't say the only thing, but the most predominantly sound thing, and that's gold and silver, obviously. On top of that, any asset, any commodity that's really of value that you can store, hold, or maintain would do well also. And lastly, you really got to think outside the box. You got to look at what's needed by the marketplace with the little vestige of the free market that still exists, and some does. You've got to be able to think of what the market needs. What do you need? What are you going to need 5 years from now if the economy is in a different state than it is right now? You're going to need, and you can list them. You're going to need food, you're going to need water, you're going to need shelter, you're going to need cheap transportation, you're going to need a way maybe to generate your own energy. I mean, there's lots of things to do, and people that can go out and do that type of thing will actually prosper during hard times. There are actually a lot of millionaires created during the Great Depression, and the reason being is that necessity is the mother of invention. When you have nothing to do, lots of time on your hands, and maybe a few rudimentary things in your garage, but you get to think and ponder and say, you know what, I know what I need. I need this. So, I'm not all negative about this, but, Alan, I think we're just starting to see, as you so eloquently talked at the beginning of the show, look, things are unraveling fast. Look at Japan. They've been in a deflationary mode now for over a decade, and they keep trying to reflate the economy. It's not working.
2 decades.
I'm sorry. Correct. 2 decades.
Oh, actually, we're 2 years into the 3rd decade. And speaking of things unraveling quickly, the Gap books of the United States, we had at the end of the fiscal year 2011, it was a $4.6 trillion deficit based on generally accepted accounting principles. 12 short months later, $6.9 trillion, a 50% decline in 12 months. So it's accelerating to the downside here as well. But, with all this money printing, they've done a good job of disguising what's really going on.
That and the electronic payment system. I mean, I was talking with another economist yesterday, and I forget the number. You may know, I think it's 47 million, is that right, Americans are on food stamps. In the 30s, you would see these massive bread lines, and people would stand out for hours to get in line and get. But today, you don't see it because, the guy ahead of you at the grocery store might be giving one of these little cards to the checker to get their food. And I'm not going to value judge it right or wrong. All I'm saying is there's a lot underneath the surface that's not as obvious as it was in the last Great Depression. Nonetheless, the roles are increasing for people that need assistance.
David, what is a good way for people, and I know we do this about every other time you're on, but you pick up new listeners, people don't always hear every segment. For someone who currently does not have any physical metal, what is the best way for someone to get started preserving some of their wealth in the metals?
Yeah, the best way is the dollar cost average. Just start in. No one can pick a top and bottom every time. So the best thing in a bull market is just to make a plan and stick to it. And that just means put in X amount every month and just don't waver from that. And there's a automatic savings program that I'm an affiliate of. It's called silver123.net. That's silver123.net. You can save gold, you can save silver, you can save both. You can get the metal shipped to your home or your office or your bank, wherever you want it to go. And I think it's really great. And on top of that, it's not a MLM. It's not a multi-level marketing program, but it is an affiliate program. And you can actually use it to increase your income. If you know anything about the Internet, if you just have an email list, for example, you could let your friends and family know about this program and actually earn a little bit. They basically have an advertising model that lets the people that are involved do the advertising rather than direct advertising. The money that they save from advertising goes into your account in the form of gold and silver. I really like this program.
Is junk silver the way to go?
I think it
to start with, and let's just and if you don't mind, tell us what we mean by junk.
Right, I think it is. And junk silver, I don't like the word junk, but what it means is constitutional silver. In other words, 90% silver coins like dimes, half dollars, quarters that were minted in 1964 or earlier. All those coins from the United States have 90% silver content. They're legal tender. They still are. Their value is far higher than what's stamped on them, but nonetheless, it's a great way. And usually you can buy that type of silver very near the melt value, which means you're not paying much of a premium. Sometimes you actually can buy it at a discount.
When would you move from the junk to the bullion coins or bars? Let's say you have first of all, how much of one's total portfolio do you think that they should have in silver, specifically silver?
Yeah, that's tough. I'd say 10%, and I really think a lot of that should be in physical form. And when you move out, it's an individual choice. I think if you're a normal American, I think one bag, which is $1,000 face value, which in today's world is probably $20,000, $21,000, $22,000 in fiat, is probably plenty for the average American. If you're wealthy, then one bag for family. And I tell people, and this is just my take on it, that once you have that accomplished, then you should move on to another form. And the reason being is these bags are kind of bulky, but geez, it's a great way to start. It's a very recognizable. It's small units, so you can spend them in a circulation or barter with them if the need ever came. Even if you don't, they're easily recognized and easily saleable back to any coin dealer or eBay or your neighbor or whatever. So it's a great way to start. It's just a little on the cumbersome side, but again, it's individual choice. But I usually urge people to start with junk bag, and you don't have to buy a whole bag. You can start with a quarter bag. You can start with a roll of 1964 quarters if you want. You can buy one at a time, but basically, yeah, you start, I think, in that realm, and then after you've accomplished, good savings in junk silver, then you can move up to something else.
Is there a particular denomination on the junk silver that you prefer?
I'm okay. I like the small unit thing. I mean, a dime is worth about $3 or $4 in fiat, so a dime will buy you a gallon of gas. So, I mean, I like dimes, but quarters are fine. But the smaller the unit, really, the better, because it's more spendable. I mean, we may never get to this, but it doesn't matter. If the worst case is you'd have to use it for barter, and I'm not saying that's going to happen. But nonetheless, and this probably will never happen again, but Alan, I'm old enough. In L.A., there was, during the gas wars in 73, there were a couple independent gas stations that were taking silver, and there was a separate line for them, and you were buying gas, guess what, for 10 cents in silver. So will it happen again? I don't know, but that's something to think about, that this, silver has value over a long period of time, and actually purchase power does maintain.
We've been speaking with David Morgan of the Morgan Report. David, it's always a pleasure, buddy.
Thank you, Al. My pleasure.